Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Jason Zelda coming to you today with another video number 9D of the Hidden from Jehovah's Witness series. There's one more video that's still in the works, and that's going to be video number 10. Be looking for it. It's coming out soon. For right now, we're going to be dealing with another secret Watchtower book, and it's called Preparing for Child Custody Cases. This book has been around for almost 30 years, and it has been a masterful piece of work put together by the Jehovah's Witness leaders and their attorneys. What this book is real simple, and we're going to get to it in just a moment. What most Jehovah's Witnesses don't realize is that what they're involved in is a secret society. There are things that happen within the group amongst the leadership that the average rank and file don't know anything about. There's a lot of people in the XJW community. I myself have never been a Jehovah's Witness, but there's a lot of people I've spoken to in the XJW community that when they were in the group, they had no knowledge about these things. And if somebody would try to come and tell them, they still wouldn't want to believe them. But what you're involved in, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, is you're involved in a secret society. They even call themselves the Watchtower Society. They have secret books, secret manuals. The elders know about the secret books. There's Shepherd the Flock of God book and various other books. There's secret letters that are given to the elders for the elders' eyes only. And there's various other things that happen amongst the leadership. The leadership is able to go out and do things that the average rank and file can't. They can talk to people that the average rank and file can't. They can associate with people that if you associated with them, you'd be in trouble. But they can do it. In the June 1st, 1997 Watchtower. I have a copy here. They make a very interesting statement concerning themselves, and this is very important to what we're going to be dealing with both in this video and in video 10 coming up. And by the way, for video 10, if you think the child pedophile issue is bad, just sit back and wait to see what I've uncovered for video number 10. And I'll just leave it at that. In this June 1st, 1997 Watchtower, they make a very important statement, and I want you to take a listen. It says, their book, Jehovah's Witnesses, Proclaimers of God's Kingdom, correctly notes Jehovah's Witnesses are in no sense a secret society. For some reason, they feel the need to put it in writing that they're not a secret society, but they are a society that's filled with secrets, like this secret book. It goes on to say, their Bible-based beliefs are fully explained in publications that are available to anyone. Additionally, they put forth special effort to invite the public to attend meetings to see and hear for themselves what takes place. True religion in no way practices secretiveness. Worshippers of the true God have been instructed not to hide their identity or to obscure their purpose as Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, I can say from firsthand experience that there have been an occasion where a Jehovah's Witness contacted me and told me that he was from the Bible Education Works. And trying to get him to admit that he was a Jehovah's Witness was like trying to pull teeth. If you don't think they have secret books, ask your elder if you can see his Shepherd the Flock of God book and see what happens. He'll probably deny that it even exists. They do have secret books, but it says here, true religion in no way practices secretiveness. Well, I'm going to reveal some stuff to you, and you tell me whether you know anything about these. I have here, I'm going to put it on the screen for you so you can see it too. It is number 88-1374. In the Supreme Court of the United States, October term 1988, Jimmy Swaggart Ministries versus the Board of Equalization of California. In this particular case, the corrupt TV preacher Jimmy Swaggart was being sued by the government because his ministry was labeled as a non-profit, yet he was profiting off the sales of his books and his music. So they sued him. Well, somebody decided they wanted to tag in and get in on the action because they knew that if Jimmy Swaggart lost the case, they would be next. Guess who it was that decided to join Jimmy Swaggart and try to help Jimmy Swaggart to win this court case? That's right. The Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, the leadership of the Jehovah's Witnesses, joined forces with this corrupt TV preacher to try to help him win this court case. So they wrote this. It's called a Friend of the Court Brief. The official term is the Brief of Amicus Curiae, Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York, Incorporated. I just want to read just a little bit of what the Watchtower had to say, because I'm sure many of you had no idea that the Watchtower Society actually worked with Jimmy Swaggart in court to try to help him win a court case. Now, why were they trying to help him win a court case? Jehovah's Witnesses keep telling me, we've never sold our literature, we don't sell our literature, we don't sell our literature. Well, explain to me this, what I'm about to read, that your own Watchtower Society wrote in support of Jimmy Swaggart. This is 1988. It says, Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York, Watchtower, a nonprofit religious corporation, is the parent organization of more than 800,000 Jehovah's Witnesses in the 48 contiguous states, including over 132,000 witnesses in California. Every one of Jehovah's Witnesses is an active door-to-door minister preaching the good news of the kingdom to willing listeners, offering the Watchtower or Awake magazine 30 cents for various pamphlets and $1 to $3 for various books on religious subjects. If they don't sell their literature, why did they actually have the prices of what they were selling them for in 1988? They tried to help Jimmy Swaggart win this case. We're going to go to the next to the last page here, page 7. It says, Watchtower agrees with the court below. Spreading the gospel, whether by old age methods or by new technologies, is protected by the free exercise clause of the First Amendment. Jimmy Swaggart Ministries versus Board of Equalization. Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, teaming up with a corrupt TV preacher. The name of the person behind it, just in case you want official names of Watchtower members who were involved: James M. McCoby, MCCABE, Donald T. Ridley, and it says here 25 Columbia Heights, Brooklyn, New York, 11201, and the phone number here is all there. June 1989 is when they wrote their note to try to help a corrupt TV preacher win his case. Well, he didn't win his case. And when he didn't win his case, that's when the Watchtower went to the donation rather than actually asking people to give straight up money. Rather than asking people to buy it, they then went to the donation method in order to comply with the government. But they only did it because Jimmy Swaggart lost his case. So when I say that I bought the literature from Jehovah's Witnesses that I have, now you can see they actually did used to sell their literature. And the leadership to this day, the leadership still does. The rank and file might not. How do you think we got this? I classify this Preparing for Child Custody Cases book as more secret than the Shepherd the Flock of God book. And one reason why I classify it as more secret is because in this book, you can go page after page after page in this book, and you will not find a copyright. There's no copyright in it. They didn't even put their name in the book. They didn't put their name in the book at all. Just flip right through. Their name's not in it. There's no copyright on it. I think the Shepherd the Flock of God book is copywritten at least, but not this. So why didn't they copyright this? Before I answer that, I need to answer the question that some Jehovah's Witnesses are probably asking right now. That if they didn't put their name on it, and if they didn't copyright it, then how do we know that this is really a Watchtower book and not some book put together by apostates, right? That's probably a question that Jehovah's Witnesses out there is asking. So allow me to go ahead and back it up with some evidence. Kingdom Ministry, August 1992, page 7. We'll put it on screen for you so you can see it. In the announcement section, this is 1992. It's highlighted on your screen so you'll be able to see it. It says a packet of legal material is available when publishers are involved in lawsuits over child custody and visitation. The packet contains court decisions and other materials designed to assist the attorney who is representing a publisher whose parental fitness is being challenged because of his or her religious beliefs and practices. The Society's legal department should be contacted by the body of elders if A. Court papers or legal documents indicate that the publisher's religion is going to be attacked. B. Apostate literature, a religious expert or former witness will be used to testify against the publisher. C. A pre-trial deposition of the publisher will be taken. Or D. A physiological examination or home study is scheduled. The packet offers no assistance in cases involving secular issues such as support and property. So if it doesn't cover secular issues, then what's the issue that this book covers? Religion. Religion. So we have here in your Kingdom Ministry verification that they have a packet dealing with child custody cases. But we decided to go deeper. Somebody decided to write to the leadership of the governing body, to write to the legal department of the Watchtower, and to ask them, would you guys by chance send me a packet, that child custody packet that's mentioned in the Kingdom Ministry in the announcement section? And they even included a few bucks in there, just to make sure things got flowing. For the Jehovah's Witnesses out there that say that they don't accept money for their product, I found it very interesting that it appears when things came, the book came, official letters from the Watchtower came on Watchtower letterhead. How about that? But the money never came back. The money must have got lost in the mail. I don't know. The money just didn't make it back. We're going to put this up on the screen for you so that you can see it. It says here, child custody materials. We have received a request for the packet of court decisions and other materials on child custody. It is always saddening to learn of problems involving child custody, but we are delighted to see that you are continuing to seek Jehovah's guidance and protection in all matters and taking advantage of the situation to bring further praise to Him. We urge you to present this information to your attorney as soon as possible. If allegations are made that your religious beliefs and practices are harmful to your children, the enclosed information may prove helpful. We particularly draw your attention to the booklet entitled Preparing for Child Custody Cases. I hope you believe me now. By the way, there's a PS at the very end. It says, Enclosures, PS. Thank you for your kind contribution. I guess the money didn't get lost in the mail after all. You see, the leadership of the Jehovah's Witnesses, they're able to get away with things and have been able to get away with it for a long time. But they're starting to see now that in this internet age, it's getting harder and harder to get away with things. Let me give you a couple of quick examples here. On your screen is two pictures. One picture is from an alcohol advertisement, Johnny Walker. The other side is a Watchtower magazine for September 15th, 1982. Do you notice something similar about these two pictures? They're the exact same picture except for the person on the porch, one of them has been erased. So that there's only one person standing on the porch rather than two. The Watchtower did not have permission to steal this company's picture. Did they steal the picture? According to the company, they stole the picture because they got wind that the Watchtower was using their copywritten picture on the front of a Watchtower magazine, a picture from an alcohol company. So this is what they wrote. We'll put it on the screen for you so you can see it. Somerset was also dismayed upon the discovery of a Johnny Walker Red Label Scotch advertisement on the cover of the September Watchtower. This advertisement was originally published in June 29, 1981 in U.S. News and World Reports and every major magazine thereafter, and was copyrighted at that time. So they took this company's copywritten picture without their permission. The name of the company is Somerset. Took their picture, put it on the front of your Watchtower, and then began to distribute the Watchtower until they got caught. When they got caught, they changed the picture. So when you go to your bound volume, your picture looks like this now. And they will never admit to this day that they ever used an alcohol image on the front of a Watchtower. They're able to, it's against the law to use someone's copywritten material. Just try to put some up on YouTube and see how quickly they flag you. It's against the law to do that, guys. But the Watchtower's been able to get away with breaking the law for a long time. This book here is a book that teaches Jehovah's Witnesses to break the law. That's why they didn't put their name on it. Now, how does it teach Jehovah's Witnesses to break the law? Well, first of all, this book has gone through at least 4 different revisions. Originally, it was called Preparing for Child Custody Cases. The next edition, 1991, is called Child Custody Litigation and the Christian Family. Then 1993, Child Custody Litigation when Religion is a Factor. And then the 2008 edition, Preparing for Child Custody Cases Involving Religious Issues. Each time they change it, they keep changing the name. But it does the same thing. So let's get into this book and find out what's going on. Let me give you a little history and background behind this book. I'm going to play for you a little audio from a gentleman who is being interviewed. He's a good guy. He's not one of the bad guys. And he's going to give you a little background and history concerning why this book came into existence in the first place. Take a listen to this.
And it contains, the first part of the book contains the first court testimony I ever gave on the subject of the lifestyle of children, which is the exploitation of children of Jehovah's Witnesses. And in fact, it was the first courtroom I'd ever actually been in. And I can remember, I knew I was on the right track because as soon as my testimony was over, and believe me, this was a very tough case, my client had already spent a month in jail for a false charge of child molestation. This is how rough this particular case was. The witnesses threw everything at my poor client. But as soon as my testimony was over, we all went out in the hallway, and the other side was standing maybe 15, 20 feet from us, and one of our attorneys overheard their attorney tell his client, "We've had it. We've had it." Why? Because the judge heard the truth. And he knew fully from monitoring the judge was just soaking this in. He was hearing things he just didn't have any idea about. For him, Jehovah's Witnesses were people who bothered people at the door and perhaps didn't take a blood transfusion. Maybe they didn't salute the flag. These are the kinds of things that the judge and the courts of our land know about. These are the kinds of things that that are written about Jehovah's Witnesses. I was in there telling them all kinds of other stuff that they had never heard. So I decided, well, I think it would be very helpful to document all this. So I went ahead and I wrote this, and then I wrote a book called Sales Kids, which documents the lifestyle of a Jehovah's Witness as a sales child. In other words, the organization is really raising people, small young people, to be salespeople. And so I called it Sales Kids. And so I've been able to use this material in the courtrooms of our country to be able to show that Jehovah's Witnesses are bringing up their children in a very unhealthy lifestyle. Well, the Watchtower didn't like this sort of thing. So, in '86, as soon as I published my books, they put out a study, an in-house study, that was not supposed to be seen by Jehovah's Witnesses. And it was a direct reaction to my work in court. I've learned this through the testimony of Jehovah's Witnesses in court, that this booklet was written to combat our work, and it's called Preparing for Child Custody Cases. In here, as some of you know who have perhaps looked through this, again, this is a copy of a Jehovah's Witness publication, which is not supposed to be seen by anyone except a Jehovah's Witness going through a child custody case. The reason why is what I'm about to tell you. What this is a manual on how to perjure yourself in court in regards to your lifestyle. I'll be getting into it a little bit later. But it's a very devastating piece of material to actually show a Jehovah's Witness.
So now you have a little bit of background, a little bit of history as to where the book came from and why they put it together. They didn't like the idea of what they call the religious expert. You might have heard when I was reading earlier where they talked about religious experts, and religious experts are not looked at in a positive light by Jehovah's Witness attorneys and by Jehovah's Witness leaders. In the book, one of the later versions of this book, they talk about the religious expert, and this is what they tell the Jehovah's Witness to do if you get involved in a child custody case and your opponent has hired a religious expert. This is what it says here. On occasion, non-witness parents have enlisted the support of former Jehovah's Witnesses who use custody cases in order to voice their complaints about their experiences with Jehovah's Witnesses. These religious experts have no place in a custody or visitation rights case. They don't want anybody opposing them that knows about their history. I'm going to give you some ideas to use that'll help you in a child custody case, because some of the things that the leadership of the Jehovah's Witnesses is going to do, some of the things that the attorneys for the Jehovah's Witnesses are going to do, are going to be done in order to strip away from you the two biggest weapons that you have to fight against them. And we're going to deal with that. It says here, if the non-witness parent attempts to offer testimony in this nature, the witness parent should immediately inform a body of elders who will in turn call the Watchtower Society's legal department for assistance in excluding such unfair and prejudicial testimony before trial, and they have before underlined. What they want to do is they want to get rid of the religious expert. They do not want an ex-Jehovah's Witness testifying on that stand, because the ex-Jehovah's Witness has the ability to blow the whistle on their teachings. This is the philosophy that the Jehovah's Witnesses use when they're in the courtroom. Many of you have heard me use this on many occasions here in my Hidden from Jehovah's Witness video series. It is the good old Insight on the Scriptures. That's right, Insight on the Scripture, Volume 2. It's written like a dictionary. You go to the letter L, you'll find the word lie, and this is how the leadership of the Jehovah's Witnesses define what it means to tell a lie. It says, lie, the opposite of truth. Lying generally involves saying something false to a person who is entitled to know the truth, and doing so with the intent to deceive or to injure him or other persons. Over here it says, while malicious lying is definitely condemned in the Bible, this doesn't mean that a person is under obligation to divulge truthful information to people who are not entitled to it. When you're dealing with a child custody case or a court case in general, this is the philosophy that Jehovah's Witnesses are operating under. Far as they're concerned, far as the leadership is concerned, as far as their attorneys are concerned, that judge is not entitled to know the truth. So if they can lie to that judge and get that judge to judge in their favor, to rule in their favor, that's what they ultimately want. Jehovah's Witnesses are known for going into courtrooms and lying about their beliefs. They're just known for doing that. And I'm going to show you some evidence. I wouldn't just sit here and make some kind of accusation like that unless I could back it up with some video, some audio, something to give you, to tell you and show you that I'm telling you the truth. So what we're going to do right here, I'm going to play for you an actual court case, just a little bit of it. I'm going to play the beginning part so that you can see that the guy who's testifying acknowledges that he is an elder for Jehovah's Witnesses. And then he's going to be asked a simple question. Are you aware of a child custody packet? Let's see what his answer is.
Mr. Johnson, how are you?
Good.
Appreciate you spending the time to be with us this afternoon. Would you please state your name for the court?
James R. Johnson.
Okay. And how do you know Mr. Martinez?
I have been an acquaintance of Mr. Martinez for a number of years. We're in a circuit of congregations that meet together 3 times a year.
Okay.
And I've dealt with him on those occasions.
And are you a member of the Jehovah's Witness faith?
Yes.
Okay. And what sort of expertise, if any, do you have in that faith, in the doctrines of the faith?
I have 25 years of being a presiding overseer in the Salt Lake area.
Okay. And have you ever been an elder?
I am an elder.
You're an elder currently,
Yes.
in good standing?
For since 1971.
Okay. And you're
Continuously.
You're continuously in good standing with the faith?
Yes.
Okay.
One more question. Excuse me. Is there a custody packet? Are you familiar with that?
Custody packet?
Yes, sir.
I've never heard of a custody
Never heard of it?
packet.
Does the headquarters or the congregation, if they have local autonomy, do they ever sit down and consult with children or parents if there's a custody dispute going on?
Let me make sure I understand that. Does the local congregation sit down and discuss a strategy or a package or something?
Yeah, let's say one of the elders, there's members of the congregation, they're going through a custody battle, and they have some questions religiously, and they go to their elder, or maybe come to you as an overseer. Do you have some direction from headquarters as to how to deal with them, how to answer them? Is there a custody packet published by headquarters to assist you with that?
In my 25 years of doing this, I have never seen a custody packet, never heard the term used until just now. As far as will the elders sit down, we'll sit down with any one of the members that's having whatever the problem is, and we'll help them, we'll discuss with them, we'll look at ways that if they have questions, we'll deal with it. If it has a legal implication, we have access to attorneys in Brooklyn that we can talk to.
So if one of your elders, at least as much as 6 months ago, were to have testified that he had a custody packet and used it, you're not familiar with that, never heard of it?
I have never heard of a custody packet.
Have no idea what he's talking about.
I've been doing this a long time.
Custody book, does that make any difference?
Custody book, I've never heard of a custody book.
Thank you. Nothing for you.
So as you see, you saw how he danced around the issue, You saw how he totally denied any knowledge whatsoever that such a book even exists. But what that elder didn't know is, from what I understand, that judge sitting right there in front of the judge was one of these. So as he danced around and lied about having no knowledge of such a book, the judge is just sitting there with the book right in front of him. They're known for going into court and lying about their beliefs. Now this book here, this is what it does. It's filled with questions. There's lots and lots of questions. I can't put everything up on the screen for you, but I'm going to make it available to you since it's not copywritten, it's public domain. So if anybody out there has a website where people can download information from your website, just contact me. Let me know where, email or something where I can send the PDFs, and I can send you the PDFs and you can post them, because there's no copyright on this. They didn't copyright it. What this book does is a couple of things for Jehovah's Witnesses. It's filled with questions. The Jehovah's Witness attorneys have been involved in so many child custody cases, they already know what questions are going to come. So those questions are in here. Pretty thick book. Lots and lots of questions. Page after pages after pages after pages of questions. But for the more controversial views of Jehovah's Witnesses, what this book does is it gives the Jehovah's Witness a different position to take in the court. That way they don't have to tell the truth. They'll just respond the way the book tells them to respond. For instance, if a Jehovah's Witness parent is divorced, but this person has custody, the Jehovah's Witness parent has custody of the child, and something happens with that child where that child needs a blood transfusion, is the Jehovah's Witness parent going to go and ask the non-Jehovah's Witness or ex-Jehovah's Witness parent anything concerning whether or not that child should get a blood transfusion? You know, and I know, the answer is no. Far as they're concerned, because the person's not a Jehovah's Witness, they're evil, wicked, demonic, satanic, all the bad names, they're apostate, you name the names, that's what they're going to say, and they're not going to inquire a non-Jehovah's Witness when it comes to a matter like this. They're going to inquire to their elders and the governing body and the writings of the Jehovah's Witnesses, all of which tell them no blood transfusions. But they can't tell the judge that. So what does the book tell them? What does the book tell them to do? It says here in the section of blood, acknowledge that your former mate properly has a right to participate and have a say in any medical decisions involving your child. Stress the fact that you want the best available medical treatment for yourself and your child, and that the avoidance of blood, in your opinion and in the opinion of many in the medical community, is a sound, helpful course. So the book tells them, acknowledge that your former mate has the right to participate and have a say. No, they don't. But that's what the book tells them to say. Because this kind of answer goes over well in the court. I'm going to show you something. An actual court case again. This one is known as Dodd versus Dodd. Mrs. Dodd in the purple has converted to become a Jehovah's Witness, and she is sold out. She is completely sold out to the group. I want to fill you in on a few things. We just talked a little bit earlier about religious experts. They hate the religious expert. They can't stand the religious expert. When the court case begins, the Jehovah's Witness attorney will tend to do something like this. They're going to want to take the judge and say, Your Honor, we need to take religion off the table. This court case should be only about which one of these two parents are best qualified to raise this child. Religion should not come up. What this parent believes in their religion should have nothing to do with the case. Now I'm going to tell you something. if your attorney doesn't rise up and say, Your Honor, religion must be brought up, because what this parent is going to be taught as a Jehovah's Witness is going to be passed on to the kids. And there are things about the group that you don't know, Your Honor, that you need to know. That if religion is taken off the table, you're never going to find out about it. But in this particular case, the attorney was not as wise as he should have been, and he actually allowed that religion cannot be brought up in the courtroom. Now I'm going to show you the problem that happens when religion is not allowed to be talked about in a Jehovah's Witness child custody case. When you hear somebody say objection, a female screaming objection, that's the Jehovah's Witness attorney. I want you to hear how many times she objects to simple questions that are asked. And you're going to see just how hard it is to try to win a child custody case when you can't even talk about religion. Take a watch of this. And you're also going to see something else. You're going to see Mrs. Dodd using what this book says. Because she doesn't feel the judge is entitled to know the truth. So when she's asked direct questions, you're going to see her dance around the question rather than answering it until finally she gets nailed and has to give an answer. This is the kind of frustrating stuff you'll have to deal with if you're in court against a Jehovah's Witness. So I want you to see this.
Mrs. Dodd, when Alex gets old enough to, let's say, go to the movie theater, he wants to go to the movie theater, how would you feel about him going to see a movie like Ghostbusters?
I don't know. I've never seen the movie. I don't really know what the story is about.
It deals with ghosts, and
that's why it's called Ghostbusters.
That's right. Yeah. You know what a ghost is, right?
Yes, I do.
Don't feel bad. I haven't seen it either, but
Okay. Good.
Ghosts and supernatural beings, things like that. It's a comedy, but it deals with ghosts and supernatural beings, things of that nature. How would you feel about him going to see a movie like that?
Objection, relevant.
what is the relevance of that?
If she's going to encourage him, discourage him, forbid him from going to see movies that are just regular, fun movies, comedies.
I mean, here's the problem. I mean, I'm not a parent, but it seems that when parents and children disagree on movies and dances and all sorts of things that kids like to do that their parents either don't like to do themselves or they may disagree. So, I mean, can't we boil it down to something? I mean, I think we need to get something concrete here.
Well, I was asking her if she would disagree with him wanting to, let's say he wants to go see that. How would you feel about him going to see a movie that has ghosts and supernatural beings and demons and things?
Objection.
What's the basis for your objection?
My objection is based on relevance. Again, I think we're just trying to get to the back door of religion again.
Sustained.
How about a classic, The Wizard of Oz? How would you feel about him watching The Wizard of Oz?
Objection.
Sustained.
Okay. I want to talk to you now about blood. You have donated blood before, have you not?
No, I've never donated blood.
You did not donate blood in Pikes Peak in 1980?
Objection, relevant.
Overruled.
No?
If your parents said that you donated blood in Pikes Peak in 1980, they would not be right?
That's correct.
Okay. Right. Did you consult with Calvin before you made the decision that Alex would not receive a blood transfusion?
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
Did you consult with Calvin before you made the decision that Alex would not receive a blood transfusion?
Objection.
Overruled.
I made the decision that I would not receive a blood transfusion. That's something we never discussed.
And you also had Dr. San Jorge, who is Alex's pediatrician, you had her write it right on his card, did you not?
I believe it's on this chart, yes.
That wasn't the question, ma'am. You've got to please listen carefully and try to answer his specific questions, if you would.
Did you tell Dr. San Jorge, or did you ask Dr. San Jorge to put no blood transfusions on Alex's card at her office?
I didn't tell her to do that, no.
Did you ask her to?
No, I did not.
How in the world would she get that information written right on Alex's card?
I told her that I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses and that I myself I do not want a blood transfusion, and I do not want one for my son.
And then that's how it got on the card, right?
That's correct.
Okay. You feel that blood does not save lives, correct?
Objection.
Overruled.
As we heard the testimony yesterday, Dr. Patel, in the situation that you had drawn out for him, when you asked the question about if the blood would save his life, I believe the answer was no. So no, I don't believe that blood saves lives.
You reached that opinion before Dr. Patel ever came on the scene, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And you can't even imagine giving your consent to a blood transfusion for Alex, can you?
I would give my consent to a safer transfusion. I would want the best medical attention for my son. I would want the more superior transfusion for my son, and I would give my consent for that.
All right, now answer my question. Can you imagine giving your consent to a blood transfusion for Alex, your son?
My consent is not necessary. All it needs is one parent's consent. His father can certainly give that consent.
Okay. I am going to ask you one more time. Can you imagine giving your consent to a blood transfusion for your son, Alex?
Again, as I testified before...
Excuse me, that just requires a yes or a no answer?
No, I would not give my consent.
Thank you.
So you've seen firsthand what it's like to be in court, going up against a Jehovah's Witness, when you can ask a direct question on the simplest of things. But if you've allowed religion to be taken off the table, you can't even talk about the Wizard of Oz. You got to keep religion on the table. Now, another thing that they're known to do, as they mentioned here in the book, they don't want a religious expert to speak. They don't want an ex-Jehovah's Witness to get on that stand and testify. So what you're going to see is something that when I first saw it, I had to bust out laughing. The good guy's attorney says, I want to call for, and he mentions the lady's name. This is an ex-Jehovah's Witness who's about to testify. They have to go out to the hallway to get her. As soon as he says, I would like to, bring so-and-so forward to testify, the Jehovah's Witness attorney immediately says, objection. And the judge is like, object for what? She hasn't said anything. She didn't want the girl to testify. But here's what happened. Remember, religion was taken off the table. And because religion was taken off the table, the attorney was only allowed to ask her a couple of questions. And then you're going to hear the Jehovah's Witness attorney object again. And when she objects this second time, she's going to use that religious clause. And when she does, the judge is going to get up and walk out. When the camera goes back over to the girl who's testifying, you're going to notice she's sitting there and the judge's chair is empty. Because religion was taken off the table, he could not sit there and hear this ex-Jehovah's Witness's testimony. So all the testimony she gave about what life is like as a Jehovah's Witness child, and all the restrictions and all the stuff that goes along with it, that judge didn't hear a word of it. When she was done testifying and had left, then the judge comes back in. They call in another religious expert, another ex-Jehovah's Witness. And the judge walks out the courtroom again. This guy gave testimony for about 20 minutes. The judge didn't hear a word of it because he wasn't in the room, because religion was taken off the table. And valuable information that he needed to know to make a wise decision, he wasn't allowed to make because he never heard what he needed to hear. Because religion was taken off the table and they wanted to get rid of the religious expert. So what they're going to want to try to do, number one, they're going to want to try to take religion off the table. And the second thing they're going to want to try to do is to take and remove your religious expert on the false grounds that because they're an ex-Jehovah Witness, they're just a disgruntled ex-member and they have nothing to contribute to this case. You cannot allow your religious expert to be removed. You've got to have an attorney that's willing to fight and that's willing to take a stand. Now I want you to see that I'm not making it up. I'm going to show you the video here where he's going to ask for the lady to come in, the ex-Jehovah Witness to come in. The Jehovah Witness attorney objects, and then watch what happens.
Rebuttal?
You bet. Melinda Grimard.
I object to calling Melinda Grimard at this point.
Well, let's hear what she's going to say first. So let's give him a shot. I mean, he's brought her all this distance. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to admit it, but let's.
Melinda Grimard.
Some of it might be relevant. I don't know. Is it your oath that testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Good morning again, Melinda.
Good morning.
When we were here yesterday, you had told us that you were once one of Jehovah's Witnesses, correct?
Yes.
And you were kicked out when you started asking questions?
Yes.
Okay. Were you also kicked out of your parents' home?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Could you tell us what happened?
Objection. We still have a situation that's not relevant to this situation.
What is the relevance of that question?
If Alex starts asking questions, he will get disfellowshipped like this young lady did, and he will be kicked out of the home with his belongings put out on the street like this young lady had.
I think you need to ask his mother whether, if that were to occur, whether she would put him out, bag and baggage. I mean, what other people do, because she answered on cross-examination, there were several areas where she stated that she either did not believe or would not comply with certain of the tenets of this religion. So what does it go to show? What is the relevance of showing what others do?
Well, Your Honor, just because she says it doesn't mean we have to believe it. And I have the right to impeach that. And the way I'm going to impeach that is by showing that all other Jehovah's Witnesses, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, have to subscribe to the rules and regulations and the tenets. You don't have a choice. You either do them or you get kicked out. The wife is saying, oh no, you have a choice to do this. We will discuss it, and if he wants to do it, if he wants to participate in an extracurricular activity, I will let him do it. Your Honor, testimony from this witness and from the other witnesses that I want to call will show that no Jehovah's Witness ever participates in extracurricular activities. You're not allowed to do that. And that's the rules that you have to go by. Just because the wife says it doesn't mean it's so. And that's what impeachment is for, Your Honor. She's admitted that she's a Jehovah's Witness. She's admitted that she reads the Awake, she reads the Watchtower, things like that. I want to show that what she's saying is not accurate. I want to show, like the question I asked her, do you know of any Jehovah's Witness child that was a Cub Scout? Do you know of any Jehovah's Witness child that participates on an extracurricular activity? She says, I don't know of any, or you wouldn't let me ask her that. I want to show through this witness and these others They just don't do it. They ain't allowed.
I'm not going to permit the questioning.
Okay. I would like to proffer her testimony.
Sure. I'll step down from the bench while you proffer on the record. Let me know when you're through.
Melinda, when you were disfellowshipped, were you living in your parents' home?
Yes, I was.
Did they kick you out?
Yes, they did.
Did they put your belongings out on the street?
Yes.
Okay. Do you speak to your parents anymore?
No.
How long has it been?
5 years.
Okay. Now you're understanding what I'm talking about. It's going to be an uphill battle. Some of you joined Jehovah's Witnesses as a family, but you came out by yourself. You're the only one that woke up. And you might find yourself in a position where you're in a divorce and child custody case. And I want you to know firsthand, you're going to be in an uphill battle. Because Jehovah's Witnesses, as you saw, they're not afraid to lie in court. They will lie to your face and feel good about it. They'll feel good about it. They don't feel no remorse. They think they're doing what they're doing for God, so they don't feel any remorse what they're doing. They have no problem putting their hand on the Bible, swearing to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and then lying. So what do? I want to give you guys a hand. If you find yourself in a child custody case against Jehovah's Witnesses, you need an attorney. But most attorneys have no knowledge whatsoever what Jehovah's Witnesses teach and what they believe. The Jehovah's Witness religion advertises itself as being a Christian religion, and they don't know what they really teach. Because they advertise themselves as a Christian religion, they think they believe the same things as the Baptists and the Methodists and everybody else. But they don't. They believe the opposite of fundamental Christianity. But the judge doesn't know that, and the average attorney doesn't know that either. So oftentimes what ends up happening, you end up in a child custody case against the Jehovah's Witnesses. The Jehovah's Witness attorney already knows all the questions that are coming. They've already coached the Jehovah's Witness as to what to say, and your attorney has no idea of what's about to come down on you, because they're not afraid to lie in court, under oath. You just seen it. You're going to need an advocate. You're going to need a religious expert. Now, in the research that I've been doing, I ran into a guy named Dan Johnson. I'll acknowledge I don't know the gentleman very well. I've spoken to him on the phone maybe 10 or 12 times. He sounds pretty legit. He's been very, very beneficial in helping me gather together a lot of the information that I have here. He may be able to help you get a hold of a religious expert to help you in your case. It comes down to how valuable are your kids? How much are you willing to put down to protect your kids from being raised in this organization? That's what it's going to come down to. I'm not sure how much these religious experts cost, but you can get a hold of him. He has a website. It's Jehovah's Witnesses expert.com. A better one is expertcustodyconsultants.net. expertcustodyconsultants.net will take you to his Jehovah's Witnesses expert.com site, and you have a lot of information there. His phone number, contact information, all that stuff is there. If you have no interest, or you're not able to, if child custody thing is not something that you're interested in and you want to help support him or whatever, he even has something there for that. He tries to do what he can to help ex-Jehovah's Witnesses keep their kids. It just basically comes down to that. He's already seen firsthand how families can be busted up and destroyed by the Jehovah's Witnesses, and how the leadership can care less when families are destroyed by their shunning policies, by their disfellowshipping policies, and various other things. And he just wants to do what he can to try to help people out. This is the page here. When you see the balls and chains, you know you're on the right page. And get a hold of him, see if he can help you out, And as I say, I don't know the gentleman very well. So if you guys find out anything about the man that's not, upfront and honest, let me know. Because I want to try to be upfront and honest about everything that I present in my videos and everything. So check him out, expertcustodyconsultants.net. Expertcustodyconsultants.net is his website, and that should help you out quite a bit. In this book, by the way, I found something pretty interesting. When I read it the first time, I had to laugh. The leadership of the Jehovah's Witnesses know full well that what they're teaching their members is not good. They know full well that what they're teaching their members is harmful to kids. But they still do it. Why? Because they've become billionaires doing it. And my King James Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil. Page 43 of the Preparing for Child Custody Cases book. They want to prove to the judge that Jehovah's Witness children are normal. And it's kind of funny because it says here, the first sentence, I'll put it up on the screen for you so you can see it. It says, evidence of young people. This can be used to show that they are normal. They have to do a demonstration to prove that a Jehovah's Witness child that's being taught that their ex-Jehovah's Witness parent is evil, wicked, demonic, satanic, mentally diseased, feasting at the table of demons, and all the stuff that they say about people who leave the group. They want the court to believe that a child that is raised being taught that way is going to turn out normal. So how are they going to make the judge believe that a Jehovah's Witness child being trained believing Jehovah's Witness teachings is normal? Well, let's see what it says here. Identify and interview young people from the local congregation who have been raised as Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, so let's stop there. Why do they only want kids that were raised Jehovah's Witnesses? Because the ones that were raised Jehovah's Witnesses have never seen the real world. They've been taught all their life that the outside world is evil and wicked and demonic and everything else. They don't know what the outside world is, and they're afraid to look. All they know is what they've been taught. Let's see what else it says here. Identify and interview young people from local congregations who have been raised Jehovah's Witnesses and, in the eyes of the presiding overseer, are spiritually minded, but also enjoy the normal healthy things that young people do. They don't have to be competitive to enjoy sports. Be careful that they don't get the impression that they are in a demonstration at the circuit assembly, when they would show that the first things in life are service and going to the kingdom hall. You see, they have to hide from the judge what they're really taught. They have to be coached to not tell the judge that the first things in life is service, going door to door, and going to the kingdom hall. They want to coach the kids to not say that when they're on the stand. It says show hobbies, crafts, social activities, sports, and especially plans for the future. Be careful they don't all say that they're going to be pioneers. I've never been a Jehovah's Witness, and I know that they push pioneering on kids. But you can't tell the judge that. You can't tell the judge that. This book is designed to teach the Jehovah's Witness to lie in court about their beliefs. If you have the truth, why do you have to support it with a book of lies? You put your hand on a Bible and swear to God to tell the truth when you know you're going to lie. All I say is, if the leadership of the Jehovah's Witnesses is willing to have you put your hand on the Bible and swear to God to tell the truth, knowing that you're going to lie, if they can make you swear to God and lie, if they can lie to God, they can lie to you. If they can lie to God, They can certainly lie to you. The truth should not have to be supported through lies. Ever. I just felt you guys should know about this other Secret Watchtower book. And like I say, if you have a website out there and you'd like to get a copy of this in PDF form, just get a hold of me. We need to get the word out there because there are kids out there. Their future hangs in the balance. It really does. And getting this book into your hands and into your lawyer's hands so that they can know what they're going to be up against. I'm telling you, this book, pretty much every question that can be asked in a child custody case is in this book. Cross-examination questions, questions that are asked in the court, questions that are asked of the non-Jehovah Witness person taking a stand, all that stuff is in here. But for the more controversial views, they actually tell the people what to say, to lie under oath about their beliefs. I just felt you guys had a right to know. So what I'm going to do is just shut this video down here and try to get it up on YouTube for you guys, then hopefully it'll help out. And be looking for video number 10 and just brace yourself. If you have a heart, it just may break. But somebody's got to say something.